Today's Coach on the Couch is sponsored by Mid-State Technical College. Spring into your future at mstc.edu. To Coach on the Couch, I'm your host, Jason Zaleski, visiting today with Auburndale Eagles boys basketball coach Chad Weinfurter. Coach, remind the audience how many years you've been coaching at Auburndale and what keeps you coming back every year?
This is year number 15 as head coach, and I believe number 25 overall. Back, I coached with Mr. Anderson, obviously, for a while, but I still enjoy. I enjoy the preparation. I was just telling one of my assistants the other day that if they wanted to coach the games, I'd coach practices. I remember Mr. Anderson saying that to me, and of course, he put in many more years than I did. But the practices I really enjoy. The kids, especially this year's group of kids, not only are they talented, but they're good kids. They're fun to be around. So as long as it's enjoyable and I still enjoy practice, I'm going to keep coming back.
Talk about last year a little bit. Start of the year, you had one win in your first 7 games and then took off from there. What do you attribute that turnaround or just that abrupt improvement?
Oh, I think there are a lot of different factors. At first we were trying to figure out what our rotation was going to be. We had a lot of guys kind of playing at the same level, which unfortunately for us wasn't a real high level, and we lost some close games. I thought we played some really good teams at the beginning of the year too. That had an effect on us. But I think right around Christmas, we made a few lineup changes, kind of settled on our 8-man rotation, and everybody kind of fell into their roles, and we were able to take off from there. It was a tough thing to start with. I know the boys were really frustrated, but to see them finish like that really gave us a lot of hope going into the playoffs, which unfortunately ended a little bit sooner than we wanted. And then, of course, coming into the summer and this year.
Coach, as it turns out, no matter what you want, you can only keep a guy for a maximum of 4 years. So every year we lose a couple seniors. Just kind of remember last year's senior group and the impact or the lasting memory they'll have on your program.
Well, we had 3 seniors that finished out last year. It was Gavin White Eagle, Austin Quinlan, and Terrence Roberson. Terrence was the main contributor out of those 3, and he was a good defender. He was an extremely hard worker, a great kid to be around. He had a lot of success in the track season, which I was really happy to see for him. And then Austin and Gavin had great attitudes. They weren't starters, and as seniors, that can be hard sometimes. And I thought they were really good teammates and came off the bench and really gave us some spark in some of those games.
Start to preview this year's team a little bit. It comes in with some high expectations. You'll have people like me writing about your team, picking them to finish first in the conference and potential state caliber team. And then you've got others around the state already saying those types of things. How do you and the guys consider that? Are you able to block that out? How do you handle that internally?
I think the best way to handle it is take it head on. I think the first day of practice, we talked about it. Mark Miller, who I have a lot of respect for, has done it for years, has us preseason number 6. He predicted us to play in the state championship game against Cuba City. But really what that comes down to, that's one person's opinion. And I told the boys, that's great that he has that opinion of us, because I have a high opinion of him. But it really doesn't matter. And as high school kids, sometimes you get caught up in that. I've got a pretty even keeled group, and I think they understand that. I wanted them to embrace it. I told them last summer that I thought we had a good enough team to do things that people dream about, win a conference title, make a run at the state tournament. But those are, that's all just words, but I wanted to put it on the table for them. I'm not one of those people that likes to hide that kind of stuff from the kids and things like that, because then, you kind of lose the control of the narrative, I guess they say. And we want to embrace it. We know teams are going to have targets on our back, and that's okay. We've been in that situation before. Maybe these kids haven't, but our coaching staff certainly has. And we've always wanted our kids to embrace it. The main thing, I guess, that we really talked about, though, let's not worry about winning. Let's worry about what it takes to win. And that's our practice habits. And we came up with a list of 10 things that we really thought were important. And we're going to try to abide by that. And then we'll see where it takes us during the season.
As we preview this year's team, let's talk about your conference. I believe from top to bottom, one of the toughest conferences in the entire state. You got Newman this year. They've got some state type of aspirations. Marathon, Stratford, always tough. Edgar was just at state a couple of years ago. Assumption, a team on the rise. How do you view the conference, and what the tests that it gives you throughout the season and prepares you for ultimate goals?
Well, I remember Gary Weisenbeck, the former coach at Assumption, talking about how well prepared all of our teams are when we do enter the playoffs, considering the games and the competition we have in the Merwood South. And all the coaches that we have, Kurt at Stratford and Adam and Dave and Josh now in his second year at Assumption. Of course, I haven't met the coach at Newman yet, but every night you're going to see a well-prepared team. You're going to see some talented individuals, like you mentioned. That Newman senior class is really good. I think counting the Merwood North, Merwood South, once again referring to Mark Miller, we have two first-team All-State predictions. The Dietz boy from Shawamigan, and of course Grant Warren from Marathon. And that doesn't even begin to mention all the great players that you have at Stratford and Assumption and places like that. It really is true. And then you start looking down the road, you start looking at February and March, and all of a sudden you see Stratford, Edgar, Marathon, and it's like a conference tournament that we have to get out of to even have a chance to go to sectionals or the state tournament. So it's something. I know we all have a lot of respect for each other, and we like to compete. And like Kurt, we had boys grow up the same age, and we've known each other for a long time. And now I see Adam with his little kids and Dave with his kids, and I remember those times. And those guys are really good coaches. And like you said, Edgar's gone to state, Marathon's gone to state. We've been fortunate enough to go to state. The COVID year of 2020, Kurt's team would have most likely made it to state. There's just so many good things in our conference. I know you talk to teams in other conferences, and they like to talk about the strength of their conference, and we just kind of nod our heads and go, yep, you guys have a very good conference, but we kind of know where we stand as far as our conference goes.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt the Merwood South, top to bottom, the most competitive conference for sure within 60 miles of here, but I think statewide. Let's talk about senior leadership and the type of expectations you put on a particular senior group. Now this year's group, some coaches want them to be an extension of them on the floor. Some want them to be, leaders in the weight room or in the classroom. What kind of expectations do you have on this year's group of seniors?
This year's group of seniors, there's not a real vocal one. It's funny. One of my former players' parents is a teacher here, and she just asked me here at the lunch hour about our team and how we're going to be and how the seniors are and how the leadership is and things like that. And I said, well, we don't have an Isaac Castellano, we don't have an Austin Hawkins as far as leadership goes. They said, but collectively they do a great job. They're very close. The chemistry between our seniors and our juniors, and then our one sophomore on varsity, is really good. They hang out off the floor. They play well together on the floor. And they all have a little bit different personalities, but they're all pretty quiet. We have Trayton Weber, who is our quarterback, who in football, he feels way more comfortable being a little more a bit of a vocal leader. He's a little quieter in basketball. You've got Alex Wolford, who you've interviewed a few times, and you know how quiet he can be. Lucas Yeski, Mason White Eagle, who had a nice cross-country season. Those guys are all quiet kids, and you get to try to get them to come out of their shell, but you can kind of do it collectively because it doesn't just fall on one person. You add my son into that group with Evan Scholl and Caden Anderson from that junior group, and those guys have been around me since they were in third grade with me coaching them. So they know what I expect too. So I think it's more of a collective thing rather than just putting it on one or two guys. And I rarely have to coach effort, which is a huge plus when it comes into practice, because usually effort is a thing, at least I found nowadays, that you really have to coach sometimes, and it can be exhausting.
I will say that over the years, Alex has warmed up to me and has been a better interview. I know the first time I talked to him, he just made a game-winning catch with zeros on the clock in a football game, and he had very little to say about it and has come a long way. So we appreciate him and the rest of the guys. Just getting used to, it's just like you and I, just two guys sitting here talking about sports, and that's really what it's about. Lastly, Coach, I want to talk about your fan support, and Auburndale is such a steep and rich tradition of basketball and really all sports, but we're here talking about basketball. I don't think you're going to have a lot of people convincing people to go in the gym and watch, but the reason I asked this question is a couple of years ago, we were encouraging a lot of folks not to be in the gym. So that has changed. Maybe tell folks why it's important and how important it is to have the community come in and support your guys and cheer them on and create that energy inside the gymnasium, whether it's home or away.
Yeah, just the atmosphere in high school gyms can be really a special thing that sometimes we may, take for granted. Just speaking of that, I was thinking of our football season, and of course we had an excellent team this year, but just our sideline and our crowds were the loudest I've ever remembered during a football season. The early game against Hurley, which was our first test that we had. The crowd, it was just outstanding. It was the first time that I couldn't hear who was on the other end of the headset sometimes, for basketball, we're hoping the same type of thing, and hopefully we can perform as well. But just that atmosphere, you just don't get it. We don't have many kids from Auburndale that are going on to play college sports. And, even at the D3 level, the Pointer Games crowds have gone kind of down, and they were one of the leading attendance, D3 teams in the state for men's basketball, or in the country for men's basketball. And just trying to get that feeling back. I think if we take care of business and we win some games, I think people will want to come and will want to support us. But there's nothing else like it. You get in a loud gym and you play like that. There's just nothing that simulates that in real life.
Yeah, the loud gym, the band, you got a really good band, the popcorn, everything. It's quite an exciting thing. Coach Chad Weinfurter, we're really looking forward to the season. Best of luck this year.
Thanks. Hopefully we can live up to our expectations. I know the boys are working hard. We have our scrimmage tonight. So, and we start already on Tuesday against a really good Colby team that ended our season last year. So it's kind of coming full circle. We'll see what kind of start we get off.
All right. Thanks a lot, Coach. Best of luck.
All right. Thank you.
Mid-State Technical College. You belong here. Start your classes and get your degree right here, or transfer to your 4-year.
Mid-State Technical College. You belong here. In person at 4 convenient campuses, online or a hybrid.
Mid-State Technical College. You belong here for your Career Accelerator Certificate, a quick way to get ahead in your career.
Mid-State Technical College. You belong here. Register to start this spring.
Get started at mstc.edu.
Mid-State Technical College. You belong here.